am going to start and welcome everyone, as Britta has done, to Ethical Fashion Festival. This is unique that we are sitting here together and talking about such an imperative category in our fashion industry. Lauren is making headway. She is making strides in sustainability and the integrity of our business of fashion. And it is something that large companies, small companies, each and every one of us has to grasp and fall in love with right now, because our planet, if you called anything else out, our planet needs this. We need to globally work together as a group of people. We need to come together and just love what we call this fashion industry, but embrace its evolution. And this is where we are today in 2020, right, Lauren? We are embracing the evolution of fashion. So I am Amy Cole, and I feel blessed to moderate this tonight and to be a part of the Ethical Fashion Festival. As Britta mentioned, we've known each other for years. I'm an executive recruiter, 20 years out of New York City. I staff the likes of Michael Kors and Kate Spade and the brands that you don't know, the brands you do know, home, beauty, and fashion. I also am a career coach, an executive coach, and a leadership and development speaker and trainer. So I am a cuckoo bird about fashion. I always have been. And then my second passion comes to life, and that's the people piece. So embracing what's going on in the market is important for me to help you as professionals find jobs, find your fit, and excel, and also to learn about the brands that are making a difference, like Lauren's brand today, is important for me so that I'm on the pulse as to where I am staffing. And I really am excited. Lauren DeCarli, welcome. Thank you for giving us this time.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm really excited to chat with you.
I know, and so I get to know new people because of Britta and because of being invited to these things. So, I first need you to tell us a little bit about your brand, Paneros brand, and then we're going to dig into you, but all of the above. Why don't we start with this brand?
Okay, perfect. So I was a top-selling designer in the wholesale fashion industry for 10 years and producing a new collection every single month, and really seeing and experiencing how unsustainable and wasteful and polluting the fashion industry can be. So I really wanted to set out and create a better alternative, which is why I founded Paneros Clothing last year here in Los Angeles. And we produce slow fashion clothing that's made the way it should be, with high quality fabrics and high quality construction. And it's made to be worn not just for one season, but for year after year, and stay in your closet and be passed down. And that all of our customers can not only look great, but they'll feel great and feel that they're making a positive impact on the world when they are purchasing from us and when they're wearing our clothes. So last year we debuted with our first products being one-of-a-kind vintage Hawaiian shirts and bucket hats that we've upcycled here in Los Angeles with tie-dye and beading. Yes, they're so fun, and each one is one of a kind. And then this past June, we launched our ready-to-wear limited edition women's line, which is all handcrafted in Indonesia using eco-friendly fibers and fabrics, and we highlight handcrafted techniques such as hand knitting and hand beading and embroidery, and really allow those amazing artisans to showcase their work through our products. So yeah, our brand focuses on inclusive sustainability, and I know we'll get into that more as we keep talking.
We're going to dig into the nuts and bolts of what this means and the impact it's having on the industry on the whole. But it's always fun to get to know a little bit about you. Number one, it's just a treat to see a West Coast girl. But because where are you located? What's your exact town?
I'm in Los Angeles, but I grew up.
You're in LA.
I grew up on the East Coast, so I'm from Long Island originally.
Okay. And did you work for that brand that you don't seem to be mentioning for all those years? Was it a New York City job?
No, it's out here in California.
It was. Okay. And it's interesting, right? The difference between working for yourself, we're going to talk a little bit about that today as well, and working for a large corporation. Were you just a doodler? Did you wear fashionable things as a kid? Is this something that oozes out of you and you couldn't help it? Or are you more scientific? Are you more sustainable? Have always been that woman that's interested in not using plastics as a kid, told your mother, don't use Ziploc bags? Or tell us.
No, I definitely evolved into a more sustainable person as I've grown, but as a child, I really loved fashion. I subscribed to Vogue and had, loved reading Vogue magazine and following all the trends. And I had to wear like the it style. And I was just very interested in fashion growing up. And so I knew I wanted to have a job in the industry, and I was involved in a lot of art classes, and I just really found my passion designing.
Okay. So, and did you go to design school?
I did. I went to FITM here in Los Angeles.
Good school, great school. I have a lot of candidates come out of FITM, and I partner with a lot of very well-known designers that also have their education at FITM. So good for you, fascinating. I love it, I love it. Well, I know you want to share with us a little bit more. So what is a turning point in your career? You've got a job, you've got a paycheck, and you say, this doesn't feel good, or this is bothering me. If I don't do this, I'm going to look back and regret. Or it was a day you went out and you tripped on the subway, you had a concussion for a weekend and said, life's too short. I mean, what was this big aha, let me do my own thing?
I don't know if there was like one specific moment, but I knew even before going to college that I wanted to have my own business one day. I didn't necessarily know what that might be. But I knew in the back of my mind, like eventually I was going to start my own company. So I think working for a company, and I worked for the same company for 10 years, I just think at a certain point you just outgrow it and you are looking for a new challenge. And for this in particular, I really, after seeing everything going on in the industry, I really wanted to create something better, something that was more unique and better for the planet. I would go out even with my friends and you'd wind up wearing the same thing as someone else. And I was really frustrated by that. I really wanted to create very special and unique pieces that people felt special when they wore, that they didn't look like everyone else.
Oh, and it's a big risk.
It is.
Right? Did you take a minute? I mean, I'm an entrepreneur 20 years. I do remember what happened, and I do remember the day I cut the tie. But did you, I mean, I'll give you, I happened to put a lump sum of money in a bank. And I said, if I still have this in a year and I'm still feeding myself, I get to keep going. If I don't, Amy Cole, get the resume, dust it off, and go back and get a job. Mm-hmm. I'm still here. So I've had my ups and downs, yeah. And I want you to know also, and for all those that are listening on the call as well, when you get to know me and you'll get to know Lauren, we both are mission-driven entrepreneurs. We are here to help you. Should there be things you want to know about getting started, and Britta is the same. This is a family of men and women in this industry, in this network, this gorgeous community. We're giving back to you. We want to help you. So these stories resonate to lift you up too. And so yeah, I needed a part-time job during that time to get me rolling. So tell me a little bit. What did you put money away? Did you decide I just can do this, or did you do the part-time thing at night, or?
So I started while I was working at my previous job because I wanted to make sure I had a viable idea. I didn't want to just quit and then, oh, no one's buying, my designs, or it's not getting a following. So I was working on it before I quit my full-time job. And I did get a part-time job when I did, once I did decide to quit. But I was working on it for about 3 or 4 months before I left.
That's not a long time. That's impressive. Good for you.
And okay. Actually, my fiance, we have saved together to make this dream a reality. He's on board with me now. It's just him and I working on this right now. So we made it a point to save for this.
Wonderful. Good for you. Well, why don't you talk more about the actual brand Paneros? And if you'd like to start to show your slides, we can talk as we, popcorn back and forth as well, whatever's comfortable for you.
Perfect.
Okay. I will tell you, and for those listening, love the product. It's what I like about it. I like your message and your style. It's as though you, first of all, it's very authentic. And if there's one thing I talk about to people is the importance of your authenticity in your branding. And it really does show that, you're living out what you want to be living out. And that's so important. So good for you. That's really great. And it shows in
Thanks.
your work. So
Thanks.
yeah, what does it mean? Good question. Go ahead.
Well, before I just get into this, I do want to say I think it's really important for brands to be transparent with consumers. And that's something that I wanted to do from the beginning of when I started the brand. I didn't want to be greenwashing saying we're doing this and we're not. Like I wanted to be real with everyone and very transparent. So that is something that like we really focus on through all of our branding and messaging and our blog and our social media. And it's something that we really value. And I encourage more brands to be transparent.
Yep, good for you. I love it. Yeah, so, I love it. What does it really mean? I mean, that is the perfect word, really mean, because it's thrown around, it's tossed on every piece of, paper that you get now. If it's a bag from a company today, oh, but it's sustainable. What does that mean? I heard something the other day, and you'll let us talk about this, that when we recycle plastic, you can only recycle it once.
Mm-hmm.
So although it's recyclable, after it's been recycled once, the way the plastic is brought up again, you can't recycle it yet again. I know you know all this stuff and you know more scientific stuff than Amy Cole, but isn't that a bummer that you can't then put that, okay, it's a recycled water bottle, whatever it is, maybe Perrier or whoever, and they can't do it again? So what does it really mean? Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, so sustainability, and like you said, that word gets thrown around so often and it means so many different things to different people and different brands. Something that I think would be amazing if it could have a true definition and it could be regulated. That way consumers and brands really know this is what I have to stick by. But until then, I really think sustainability is so important because it affects not only the planet, but everyone involved, everyone on the planet, because there's so many people involved in the life cycle of a garment, from the farmers to the consumers. So, and everyone wears clothes, unless you're a nudist, but for the most part, everyone wears clothes. So really everyone is involved and is affected by the fashion industry. And so the choices everyone makes affects everyone around them and everyone on the planet. So as a brand and to myself as a consumer and a designer, sustainability really includes these 5 things. So we like to call it inclusive sustainability. It focuses on smarter fibers and fabrics, responsible manufacturing, quality over quantity, less pollution, and less waste. And so to go into just smart fibers.
Now, can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Yeah,
Do you mind? I actually have a question. Is there an organization that actually, much like a FDA, that makes sure food is quality food for a child or for me to eat? Is there someone right now regulating what sustainability means?
No.
No. Okay. I needed to know that because that's probably coming in one way or another, correct?
Yeah, I would hope so.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So number 1, you've got the 5 points. I love your 5 points. Smart fibers and fabrics.
Yeah, so smart fibers and fabrics, plastic-based fibers, as you can see, which are a petroleum product, are used most frequently in the fashion industry. And not only is the process of making those plastic-based fibers, which is your polyester, your nylons, your acrylics, they're very harmful to the environment, but they also generate microplastics, which I'll explain and get into a little bit more later. And then next would be cotton-based fibers. And yes, they are a natural-based fiber, but there's still a lot of flaws in the process of manufacturing those fibers that needs improvement, such as water consumption. Are they ethically farmed? All the pesticides that are used to create them. And then there's other fibers, which some are good, some are bad. They're used less frequently, but there are some better options like semi-synthetics, like your viscose, your rayon, your tencel, and other natural fibers such as hemp and silk and linen. So I think for a sustainable brand, just really focusing on your selection of fibers and fabrics that you're using, making sure you're not using those plastic-based fibers, which are harmful in the actual process of making them. And then as consumers purchase those polyester garments.
Now, before you click to your next screen, let's talk about this though. Does that limit you as a designer for creatively? Do you not have access to the gorgeous colors that they can capture in a poly or not? I'm asking as a consumer that doesn't know. I'm not the designer, I'm the executive recruiter, you know?
No, I don't think it's limiting at all. I mean, fibers such as rayon and viscose and tencel, there's no limit as to what colors you can dye them. And I think, yes, polyester is pretty durable. It doesn't really wrinkle, but there's tons of other fabrics that have qualities that are better than that, or similar qualities that are strong. Cotton is a very strong fiber. And silk is very good with absorbing large amounts of moisture. So I think as a designer, it's not limiting to just cut out polyester.
Okay, I was curious. And I love that you said, unfortunately, this is not optimal for Mother Earth. If that is not the understatement, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Fabulous. Okay.
you can see it's estimated 70 million barrels of oil are used every single year to produce polyester clothing. That's a lot of oil. That's, it's at more than 4,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools. So just as a visual, it's really bad for the environment.
And I mean, I also know the treatment of fabrics. I know that dyeing fabrics, you can dye in a good way and a bad way, right? Dyeing denims, and there's a lot of what's that called when you rinse it off or whatever, just the washes, and
The washing,
it
yeah.
trickles in. Then I'm eating food out of that soil.
Mm-hmm.
And is it toxic or basically, right?
Yeah, so there are non-toxic dyes, there are toxic dyes, there are natural dyes. We actually are working more with using natural dyes, which are chemical free. And if it does go back into, the soil and the land, that it's all natural. It's coming from plants, and so it doesn't have a harmful impact on the environment. But yes, a lot of the chemicals used for washing and dyeing and treating fabrics so that they are ready to be used is a problem.
And I have so many questions. I think we're all interested. What about the cost as a designer, choosing these better fabrics for the environment, more sustainable fabrics, healthier washes? Is that a cost to you? Is it cost prohibitive to you?
It is more expensive. I think as more people and more brands can adopt those ways, it will be less expensive. I mean, that's like with most things, when there's more of a demand, you can adjust the price. But there is a lot of innovation with recycling water and using less water in terms of treatments to fabric. There's lasers now that can do the whiskers and have the same wash effect as you would do with a stone wash. So there's a lot of new innovations that are coming out there that are really exciting, that are much better for the environment and less resource intense.
Okay, thank you. I love it.
Okay, so the next one would be responsible manufacturing. And I truly believe that everyone should know who made their clothes, and that they should have that connection to the garments that they wear. It's really important for brands, when they're looking to be working with new manufacturers, to check out the working conditions, to really go and visit the actual manufacturer and factory that they're working with, to see what wages are being paid, to see if there's child labor, and what environmental practices are they using. Unfortunately, there's still a lot of factory disasters that take place, and factories will often subcontract the work out, so you don't know who is actually producing the clothes. And even here in Los Angeles, we've been battling with certain fast fashion companies with paying paying disgustingly low wages to the workers still here in the US, in Los Angeles, in the garment district. So unfortunately, it's still going on. I'd love to like say one day that, you know, all manufacturers are ethical and responsible. But it's something that as designers and as brands, they should really be knowledgeable of exactly who they're working with.
Absolutely. And pay discrepancy is everywhere. And it needs to be in the garment center as well as other all consumer goods have these issues. You know that, right?
Mhm.
You're in apparel, but there are people that are making plastics and making machinery and making home goods. But we will continue. This is so topical, and I'm very so happy to hear this more and more, that this fascinates you as a young creative designer changing, and this whole entire festival for the next 3 days is fabulous.
Mm-hmm. And we actually, I mean, to go even a step further, we interview everyone that we work with. We love hearing their story. I mean, you can see pictures on the slides of some of the amazing people that we work with, like the hand knitters, everyone from the start to the finish of the garment. We really want to get to know them and to hear their story.
Good for you.
So something that I'm really passionate about is quality over quantity. Clothing represents more than 60% of the total textiles manufactured today, which is a lot. And at the same time, clothing use has declined by 40%. There's this thing going on today where you can only wear an outfit once. You can't be photographed more than once in the same clothes, and it's horrible. And companies, I believe, are just producing way too much. I don't think that consumers need to be buying every single week a new item. You know, there's the fast fashion companies are kind of pushing that down the consumer's throat, and often it's poorly made clothing with cheap fabrics. So even if you think, oh, I'm going to buy this amazing top, it's not going to last, which is the problem, because then it ends up in a landfill. You end up getting rid of it. Most people are not mending their own clothes these days. So quality is so important in that aspect.
And don't jump, because underneath you it says estimated over 50% of fast fashion produced is in, I can't read it, honey, just because of your no, that's okay, disposed of in under a year. And so what I think we both need to talk about quality generally to me goes along with fit.
Mm-hmm.
Fast fashion this is darling, I've got a party, I feel different, but it isn't that. You are not super comfortable. It doesn't perfectly fit. You pay for quality, you pay for fit, you pay for that confidence level of when clothing fits. I don't know, I'm a woman that has this thing about fit. If it fits, I'm comfortable. Yeah, and it brings this confidence. But I also need to admit and to be accountable. When Zara first came out, the place just engaged me all the time. And it was $19.99, $39.99, and it was a blazer somehow. And I mean, one item was $79.99, and it is embroidered across the seam, which you and I both know that when you embroider across the seam, you mean you're doing it before you're putting the lining in and everything. It's a quality item. It wasn't just printed on the front or something. And I thought, how are they doing this? Understanding manufacturing, I knew exactly how they were doing it. Labor, overseas, high volume, but I believe that corporation, which is a Spanish-based company, actually changed the dynamic of our shopping and buying patterns for a woman of my age in the workforce. It was trendy and for the office, for me.
Right.
In New York. And I biked home and I would quickly lock my bike up at Zara, run in, and for $19.99, that's a cocktail. I can grab this. But you're not wrong. When it was time to cut with the clutter every season, that was the thing that went. And I'm one person, and I'm aware of my behavior. Imagine those that aren't aware of their behavior.
Yeah. And I think what people don't understand too is, when going back to fit, most of the times at least with me, nothing fits me when I would shop at Zara in the past. Nothing fits right, because to produce clothing that fast, you have to cut out certain steps of the process.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for us, we fit the garment 5 times, three to 5 times, to make sure that the fit is perfect. But when you're sending something out so fast and having new collections all the time, it's hard to ensure that the fit is amazing.
Well, I think we're going to see a shift. Not only are we feeling this in retail right now, number one, real estate issues, COVID issues, and just the consumer is not spending right now due to some of the limitations they feel in their own pocketbook. So I do think we are going to see a increase in quality over quantity, in my opinion. Let's let this unfold in the next few years, because we will see it in the next few years.
Right. I think.
So that, okay, so go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, so quality over quantity, how are you helping? What is Paneros doing to help that?
So we only produce small batches of every style. So we have the one-of-a-kind pieces that we have here in LA that are upcycled garments, but for our women's line, we only produce 30 to 60 pieces of every style. So that cuts down the pollution, that cuts down the waste. We're using dead stock fabrics, which I'll get into also. But we're only producing a very small amount, and it comes out 4 times a year, 4 to 5 times a year. We're not producing a new collection every week or every month.
Love it. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So then with going on to pollution, I'm sure we all know by now
that is so upsetting.
It really is.
That is so upsetting. Yeah, I know.
That,
okay, go ahead. I'll let you talk. Go ahead. Yeah.
The fashion industry is the largest polluter after the oil industry. I'm sure we've all been hearing that lately. There have been a lot of development in the last couple of years using more natural dyes, like I talked about earlier, and increasing the colors that you can get using these natural dyes. You'll see the 2 pictures of the sweaters. Those are dyed using natural dyes. So you can get these amazing colors. And it's a great way that you can reduce pollution in terms of the dyes and the chemicals used. And then as far as the microplastics, that's one of the bigger issues regarding pollution in the fashion industry. Over 500,000 metric tons of microfibers flow into the environment from washing synthetic textiles every year. So that's
in our washing machine?
Through our washing machine.
In my washing machine.
In your washing machine, in the garment, industrial washing machines at all of the wash houses. Okay. And that's equivalent to 50 billion plastic water bottles flowing into our rivers, lakes, and oceans. And so I don't think most consumers realize when you buy polyester garments and you wash them, it really does release those tiny microplastics then that get put into our waterways. And sorry, this is coming before dinner, but if you eat seafood, all of the animals in the ocean are digesting those plastics, and then you're of course eating those animals. So it's a really big problem that can be fixed by switching to non-synthetic fibers.
You quickly said, I think you said everybody knows that fashion is the number 2, or apparel, the number 2
most polluting
criminal of causing the most pollution. And I honestly do not think that's a common, I know it, you know it, we're in this industry, so we know it. But I would bet your Bippy, when we bring back 5 and 8 people into a dinner party, which is coming soon, 90% of the people do not know that fact. And it is something that needs to, because that's a solid fact you can spit out and have it be a real, okay, let me think about that. So how would we say that? Apparel is the number 2 pollutant of our globe. All apparel. Apparel manufacturing is the number 2 cause of pollution in our globe, in our world. Okay. Yeah.
And that just relates to waste. So right now, the fashion industry is a linear process. So it requires about 97% of new material inputs, and then results in about 85% material waste, which generates over 40 million tons of fabric waste. So there's a lot of new materials and new resources that are needed right now to produce garments. And large scale manufacturing of textiles alone, so that's just the fabrics, result in 12% of waste in the clothing creation alone. And then this fact, which is makes me really sad, is that roughly every second, 1 truckload of discarded clothing is either ended up in a landfill or incinerated. So I think that goes back to the issue of quality over quantity. If we invest more in quality clothes that will last longer, and timeless pieces that you'll want to have forever, not that something that's, oh, this is neon green and neon green is in this month, so I have to have that piece. Well, it might not be in fashion forever, and you might end up throwing that away. So I think when companies are looking at their waste and what they can do about waste, they can think of new ways to create products from the scraps of their style. So for example, all of the scrunchies that we produce are the leftover fabric scraps from when we cut our dresses and blouses. So really trying to limit the amount of waste and just being more innovative as a designer and what you can create from those pieces.
That's clever. And then there's, I won't talk dollars and cents, but we might in a minute. You know, you are also building a business to have profitability, and that's profit for you.
Right.
Whether it's a giveaway with every item, which builds brand loyalty, but you are using that scrap in order to increase your rate of return on that fabric, or on that fabric yield. And that could be a $3 scrunchie package of 3 scrunchies or something.
Right.
You know, yeah.
Exactly.
And also that brand equity it brings out.
Mm-hmm. And then lastly, and this is an overall arching theme of our brand and what I think needs to be included when you talk about sustainability is, are you including diversity and inclusiveness in your company? So sustainability, like I talked about, even with manufacturing, it's not just about the products. It has to include all of the people involved, and it can't be reserved for a certain group of people or a certain type of person. That it needs to be able to reach everyone and include everyone in the process, from your employees to the models you use to the media that you work with, really everyone involved. And I think you want to make sure that the image you're conveying is inclusive to everyone, because everyone truly deserves to be seen and to participate in a sustainable economy.
This is topical. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So when you say diversity and inclusiveness, your consumer, you're putting that out in the Paneros brand to say, we value you as a human being and we want you to be a part of our brand. What does that mean to, I know you and your fiance are not yet in a place where you'll be staffing, but this is what I'm dealing with as a staffing agent. I'm actually having a conversation with L'Oreal on Tuesday to work to build out their diversity and inclusiveness. And when we build, and I guess I should just share, because we're all talking small businesses and entrepreneurship as well, the more diverse your staff is, the more creative. They have statistics that your creativity and innovation is increased by 33% if you have at least a 20% diverse group of people working with you, and that your profits increase by 24%. 33% in innovation and 24% in profitability. You're talking to L'Oreal, that's going to ring a bell. Yeah. And that's because you've made your your staff, a diverse group of men and women. Isn't that fabulous?
Mhm.
I mean, I'm
Amazing.
looking down here at the picture. I get excited by that. And the other thing is customers, have you ever, well, let's talk a little bit about your brand and your target audience. Is your target audience a certain age? Is it, I see there's, go to work clothing here. I also see there's women's sportswear. What would you say?
So our target audience is 20 women, mostly women from 20 to 45 years old. We do offer our Hawaiian shirts are unisex, so they can go for men and women. And for the clothing for the women's line, yeah, I created and designed pieces that are truly timeless, that you can wear to the office, you can wear on the weekend, you can wear when you're going out, you can wear at home. So pieces that will travel with you through your entire life, wherever it takes you.
And do you feel there's a void right now in that, from day to night sportswear, or from that ready to wear that is, how do you feel about okay, let me ask if you feel that's the biggest void. Is that what made you do that, or is that your passion? That's what you like to wear? Or
That's my
what
passion.
made you say that's who I'm going to target?
That is my passion. I wanted to create, I mean, designing for another company, yes, you're not always designing for yourself. And so when I decided to create Paneros, I wanted to dress women that I think have the same goals and dreams as me, that want clothing to take you from day to night, like you said, to take you from the work week to the weekend. And everywhere in between. So I think it was important to me to have not just one specific category of clothing, that you can buy your whole entire wardrobe from us if you wanted to.
And tell me if you want to just pop back in. I love this picture, but you're right in front of another woman. And so I see two heads when I'm talking. Yeah, there you go. Just because for the video. So, let's talk about what COVID-19 has done to your creative pattern. Knowing that women, for example, I had a woman on my call who was an evening wear designer, and she owns her own business, beautiful things, as well as just like a Dion von Furstenberg gorgeous dress that you would wear to the office, or not all special occasion, but she's got a gorgeous collection. And she's now making all Zoom tops. Not at all her passion, but it's the necessity right now. So tell me if anything has changed for you and your design model or your design paradigm right now, or saying, hey, I need to run a business. This is where it's going. Let me service that girl, guy, women. I understand, forgive me. What does a woman need today, right now, for the next 18 months, 24 months?
Yes, so COVID has definitely affected us in that way. As you probably saw in the pictures, most of the pieces that I designed were to be worn out, to be seen in these beautiful pieces. So when COVID hit, I really had to think about what women want to wear right now, and how can I offer them these ethical, timeless pieces, but still have that comfort level and still have that fashion level. So for fall, we did redesign. We kept some of the existing styles and pushed some back, but we did redesign our fall collection to include some more comfortable styles. So we have actually coming out later this month, there's some hand knitted sweaters and some more knit pieces, or more. Our Kyle shirt is a very comfortable oversized shirt that you can wear as a shirt jacket, or you can wear it as a shirt, but it's more oversized. It's not form fitting, but it's still a timeless piece that you'll want to wear out eventually when you can go back to that type of lifestyle. So it definitely has affected us in terms of what I was designing, and what I think women value and what they want for the current time.
When you design, and you worked for a corporation, you said for 10 years, I would gather, that you put collections together every season to be on the pulse, in the trend of that particular season. Today, are you designing collections so it's merchandise for you, just so you can feel you could put it out there? Or are you direct to consumer, so you're really choosing looks and items?
So we are direct to consumer. So I can focus more on just items and looks, but I like to see everything as a collection. I think it's also easier for consumers to have something that's merchandised very nicely. That's not just here's 10 random things that you can't pair together. Or so I think for me as a designer, it's easier to have more of a collection look. But I also think for the consumer, it's easier on the eye to see something that's more cohesive and easier to understand.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that as well, it's who you are and the juices bubble up and you've got a vision. And so it does take a few pieces to say, this is that energy.
Mhm.
And it's interesting. I do a great deal of branding and branding for your business, branding for executives to position yourself for a job to get an advanced promotion or anything. You do need a type of brand. And that Paneros brand, it welcomes you. I want to share with you that as a person that went to do a little research on you, the website welcomed me. I was comfortable looking at the website, meaning I said that there were a bunch of things I could wear that, and it was already in my body, on my body, in my closet. So what's happening with UI and UX, which is user experience and user interface, you now are branding, you're making garments and you're creative. Now all of a sudden you've got to brand this online. How is that going for you? Is that you doing that website, the UI and the user experience and the user interaction?
Yeah, so I think because I'm a creative person, I definitely take over all of the creative aspect for the company.
You're
Um,
doing well.
thank you. It's
No,
not
it's really,
not easy. I have to, I make tons of mistakes and, do a ton of research, and there's lots of drafts that go back and forth. But yeah, so I am trying to create a very customer friendly user face that people feel invited to, that it's not this cold website. It feels warm, it feels comfortable, it feels inviting, um, and easy to shop from. I used to shop online all the time previously, and I mean, I still do, but I really having that experience as a consumer, I really wanted to create a website and a true experience for the consumer on our end. So even for this past collection, we added videos on the product pages. So you can, they're not traditional, very like serious where the model just walks back and forth. They're fun, they're exciting. She's dancing around. You can really see how the garment moves and flows and drapes. And I think it's a more fun experience for the customer to see it in that way. They can picture themselves in the garment better.
so are you doing all your social as well?
I am.
And I know you're probably, I mean, share with me that experience. Do you feel that in addition to being a designer, it was another education to understand the marketing behind building a brand? Or is it intuitive for you in your generation and you used it already so often? Because I think selling to convert to a consumer is different than just saying, hi, I'm at the Statue of Liberty with mom and dad this
Right.
weekend.
No,
Yeah.
it's a constant learning phase. I'm a pretty tech savvy person, so and I was on most of the social platforms before I started the company. But learning marketing is difficult. I will say that I don't have a marketing background. I did help with some of those aspects at the previous company, but really trying to tune into that, yeah, it has definitely been a challenge, and it's something that we continue to work on.
Yeah. Let's go back for a minute about the sustainability of your product and your passion for making it a mission driven. Let's build this earth in a better way and put this awareness out there. You're working with local manufacturers in LA. Do you feel, because I and Britta and I can speak to this. In 1989 was my first job in fashion in New York City, and I would go to Long Island City and I would watch the sewers sew our samples, and it was my job to go collect them. And oh my gosh, we've got to get them over to Macy's and blah, blah, blah. Take two, no more garment factories in New York City and no more in Long Island City. Are they rebuilding in LA, or are you finding artisans in LA that are tell me a little bit about how you are doing that in a city like LA where it's expensive to have an office, it's expensive to have a sewing room.
So I think LA's really lucky because it has sustained a lot of the garment industry and manufacturing industry here. So the dye house that we work with, I mean, he's worked in the industry for 20 plus years, and now he has his own dye house, and he works with tons of brands from Rag and Bone to Mother to Reformation. So he does have that large clientele. But I just love working with them because, I mean, it's very hands-on. You can go there and see the entire process, and it's like having a little workshop in your own space. So it's really informative. Like, there's someone that invested in getting one of the laser machines so that they can reduce the amount of water used when they're washing garments. So I think it's important. Yes, it's expensive, but I think it's important to have those new innovations here in Los Angeles so that not everyone has to go overseas for all of the pieces.
Now, will you bring someone like a fit model over there? Do you kind of partner with, is it a small experience where they're your partners as well? Or are they too busy? They've got Reformation throwing them garments and.
No, they fit me in. I mean, I am clearly not doing the large scale like everyone else, but I think sometimes it's invigorating for them because I can do certain techniques that maybe a larger company couldn't do, or I can try a lot of different things and do a lot of testing and be more hands-on.
Now, how are you handling direct to consumer? Are you bringing it to home and then shipping?
Yeah,
You
so
guys,
we do all of the fulfillment here. I'm the fit model, so I do all the fitting on myself. I send all the tech packs, but we have all of the inventory here and do all of the fulfillment out of our place.
good for you. That's, I mean, at this stage, what do you see for the future for Paneros? What is your ultimate? Is it a mission? Is it a statement? Is it to have Dion von Furstenberg sponsor you to get bigger but still stay sustainable? We know that also Donna Karen is very active in the sustainable market, and she of course has the financial backing to do so. So when you hear those people doing it, you're not as wildly impressed. I'm not, although I love that they support the concept and they believe, but I'm curious, where do you see your business going? Because obviously to scale is what it's going to take, and scaling is difficult in this way.
I see us becoming a whole lifestyle brand where people can come to us for not only apparel, but shoes and accessories and home goods, and create their whole lifestyle around us, and know that each piece is small batch. I would love to continue to do that. Even if we do 300 pieces, that's still considered small batch in the industry. So my vision for the brand is definitely to scale, but to keep our values in the timeless pieces and quality and these small batch styles that really feel special to every consumer and feel unique to them, and to keep highlighting these amazing artisans and skill sets that they have so that they don't get lost.
Do you feel that the pop-up concept is something that you would do? Like having a Santa Monica pop-up or being a vendor at one of the, I'm curious today how a young designer, I know it's direct to consumer, but we still have to, I mean, we're still touch and feel people.
Yes, exactly.
That's never going to go away. And even a little girl, my nieces, I've got little twin 6-year-old. Let me tell you, they touch everything. Aunt Amy, your sweater, they like the furry. They, everything on bed is fluffy, right? And that's who we are as human beings. We're tactile, and that is what clothing is also. And clothing is an art form, and so it's to be experienced. So I'm curious, as you look at your business model, would that be step 2? Maybe a vendor, maybe a pop-up?
Yeah, it's funny that you're mentioning this because we actually had a lot of live events planned before COVID hit. We did do one pop-up before it came, but we did have some in-store pop-ups and other live events where we could really get to know our customers and really have them experience the whole brand. And it's something that we're working on for next year as things hopefully open up more. We are in one store in New York called Showfields, which you would love. It's a whole experiential store. It's not your traditional brick and mortar. They have a slide in the store. Everything is touchy feely, and it's a true experience for the customer. And so that's where I really think that we'll be heading in the future, is when we do decide to do these live events. It's going to be about the experience for the customer.
I'm going to ask you to put that in the chat, because I need to know that name. So Sheffield, if you put it in the chat. And I also want to introduce you to a very dear friend of mine, her niece. Oh, Showfields. Okay, Showfields. Yeah, has in Brooklyn a store, and they only will put in their store, and it's items, it's keychains, it's pocketbooks, it's clothing, it's different stuff. It has to be sustainable. I think you two would get along very, very well. And it is, again, she takes 6 pieces, but that's
I love that.
To me, yeah, you go from direct to consumer to your specialty store. And I really take a look, if I'm feeling confident, that I believe that this is going to be a reset and a realignment of our retail landscape. And I think what's going to happen is we're going to go back to you, because we want unique. I want to support. I love American Express's TV ads that say, support your local. The guy shows up, he's got his mask on, Joe. And, you have to do the elbow bump, because that's community.
Right.
And community is really what I don't need to keep Zara in business. I mean, I happen to drive by it and I'm upset when I see the corner lot is now empty, let's say. But you understand where I'm going. We're watching a pendulum shift, and we're doing it together. And you are right on the pulse of what should be happening. So I will definitely also, hook you up with that.
Perfect.
Is there anything I know there's been challenges. Are you okay telling us, what would you say is one of your greatest challenges of launching Paneros? Sleepless nights, Holy Toledo, I made those, none of those fit. Oh no, what, I don't know. You tell me.
I would say our biggest challenge is really our brand awareness and gaining the trust in consumers. I think everyone is so focused on how many followers do you have and how many likes and comments do you have. And I think being a very small brand, we only have 900 followers. So for some people, maybe they think it's not a valid company. So I would say just gaining the trust of consumers has been our biggest challenge. And I think doing pop-up events and really engaging with the different communities will definitely help that. But that has been the biggest challenge, is just gaining that trust. And I think because our price point is not a cheap product. We do, like, our products are all quality, and the price point does reflect that. It's not an impulse buy for most people.
Okay, what is your price range?
So we have top starting at $79, and right now our highest price point is $249.
So you are right in, honestly, you're absolutely right. Your target audience is a job. She's a worker that enjoys that fashion and believes in that and will pay for that because of that. If you actually just surprised me, that's not high to me. Of course, I live in Manhattan, but
it's
and
not
I also
fast fashion prices that most people, I feel like, are now accustomed to.
But that's why we're talking about the consumer needs to change.
Yeah.
And the consumer will change, hybrid, because we're back in action with the fact that we want to support Lauren's, and we mean that. We're happier. This has to be an experience today, other than just the grab off the rack, it's $19. Oh, I'm a medium, I'll grab that. If we don't change that into an experience, which is what you're doing, then you're not going to engage your customer.
Right.
And I actually I want to applaud you, and Britta can probably concur. Amy Cole's biggest challenge as an executive recruiter of 20 years, and I know a lot of people, not sounding cheesy, I do know a lot of people, is brand awareness, that I'm a recruiter, that I'm a career coach, that I do leadership and development speaking. Guess what? It is the challenge, because we are against the social media game I don't want to use the word it's rigged, but it's not rigged in favor of the small fry.
No, not
it
at
is
all.
rigged in favor Kim Kardashian. Search optimization. So that's why I do mention the pop-up. That's why I believe in ethical, fashion festival. We are talking to each other. We are knitting ourselves together, stronger together. Cheesy, but true, right? We will never not be in touch, Lauren DeCarli. You don't know Amy Cole, but Britta, is that true? Will I know this girl forever? I will know her forever. Yeah, and I will know Britta forever because it's too fantastic, and Jim and Ken and everybody else on the call. But anyway, all right. So thank you for sharing everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, amazing, and keeping us abreast of the importance of believing in local, supporting the wages of our workers, sustainability, fabric consumption, and all of the above. Really, hats off to your brand.
Thank you.
A+, I love it. And yeah, Britta, do we ring everybody into Cosmos and Connections? Is that next?
Everyone has to come back in 30 minutes and just take a break, go make your cocktail.
Yeah, I'm going to make my cocktail.
Yeah, back at 5. And so please come. It's a wrapping up of a great first day, and we just want to celebrate. And Amy has some fun things planned. So please come back and join us.
Lauren, great to meet you.
Yes, you too. Thank you so much.
I think we need to do 2 things. Jim, if you could put the link in for the Cosmos and Cocktails, that would be fabulous.
That's in there. It's in the chat.
Oh, is it?
Yep, it was at 3:34 p.m. There's a long link. That's the one.
Yeah. Okay.
It's also in the agenda if you can't find it.
Perfect. Okay.
So back in 30 minutes.
Okay. All right. Bye, guys. Good to see you.
You too.